The first hormone which affect the carbohydrate metabolism is growth hormone. The growth hormone is decreases the utilization of carbohydrate, means it has the effect of gluconeogenesis, or it increase the concentration of carbohydrate in body. The growth hormone causes this effect by influencing the carbohydrate metabolism. It includes decreased glucose uptake in tissue such as skeletal muscle, increased glucose production by liver, and increased insulin secretion. So growth hormone, whenever we take the food, the blood glucose level is increased. That blood glucose is transported to different tissue like skeletal muscle, brain, and liver. So growth hormone decreases the transport of glucose into the skeletal muscle, so the blood glucose level will remain high. Again, it increases the glucose production by liver, so growth hormone induces the gluconeogenesis in liver. Also, growth hormone increase the insulin secretion, so that the blood glucose will transport to liver and other tissue. Growth hormone is induce the insulin resistance, which stimulate the uptake and utilization of glucose in skeletal muscle and adipose tissue. So growth hormone induces the insulin resistance, so that the tissue like skeletal muscle and adipose tissue, they won't respond to insulin, due to which blood glucose didn't enter into the skeletal muscles and adipose tissue. Again, growth hormone induces the increase in blood concentration of fatty acid, which contribute to the impairment of insulin action. So then next hormone is thyroid hormone. So thyroid hormone stimulate the carbohydrate metabolism. It include rapid glucose uptake by cell, enhanced glycolysis, and gluconeogenesis. So thyroid hormone is responsible for the rapid intake of glucose by cells, and it also includes the glycolysis, means carbohydrate or glucose is metabolized to produce energy. At the same time, it also responsible for the synthesis of new glucose. Along with that, it increases the rate of absorption of glucose from gastrointestinal tract, so that blood glucose should be higher due to absorption of glucose from gastrointestinal tract. Then next hormone is cortisol. So cortisol is the hormone which stimulate or increase the gluconeogenesis. Cortisol and other glucocorticoids stimulate the gluconeogenesis by liver. So cortisol and other glucocorticoids, they increase the blood glucose level by synthesizing glucose in liver. They increase the rate mainly from direct effect of cortisol on liver, as well as antagonizing the effect of insulin. So cortisol directly induces the gluconeogenesis in liver. At the same time, they inhibit the effect of insulin, so that blood glucose remain higher. So cortisol increases the enzyme required for to convert the amino acid into glucose in liver cell. We know that the amino acid are classified into glucogenic and ketogenic. So cortisol metabolize the amino acid into their intermediate, which can be utilized for the synthesis of glucose in liver cell. This results from the effect of glucocorticoids to activate the DNA transcription in liver cell nuclei. Okay, so to synthesize the glucose in liver, we require the enzymes. So these glucocorticoids or cortisols activate the transcription of DNA, means synthesis of RNA. That RNA will convert into enzyme. So these enzymes are related to gluconeogenesis. When these enzymes are synthesized, these enzymes will utilize the whatever the substrate available in liver to synthesize the glucose. Again, cortisol causes the mobilization of amino acid from the extrahepatic tissue, mainly from muscle. So the more amino acid become available in plasma to enter into gluconeogenesis and promote the glucose formation. So cortisol causes the mobilization of amino acid from muscles. That amino acid concentration will increase in plasma, so that amino acid will transport to liver and other tissue. So this amino acid will be converted into some product, and that product will be used as a substrate for the gluconeogenesis in liver. Cortisol antagonizes the insulin effect to inhibit the gluconeogenesis in liver. So insulin mostly responsible for the glycolysis. So cortisol antagonize or inhibit the insulin effect, which is responsible for the inhibition of gluconeogenesis in liver. So cortisol will increase the gluconeogenesis by inhibiting the action of insulin, which mainly responsible for the inhibition of gluconeogenesis in liver. Then cortisol also cause the moderate decrease in glucose utilization by most of the cell in body. So even though cortisol is increase the gluconeogenesis in liver, it means more glucose is synthesized, so more blood glucose level will be maintained, but that glucose will be utilized by other cell. So cortisol inhibit or slightly decrease the rate of glucose utilization by cell of the bodies, so that blood glucose will be fairly more. Also cortisol decreases the translocation of glucose transporters 4 to the cell membrane, especially in skeletal muscle. So if you know how insulin hormone is act, okay, so insulin hormone is bind to their receptor on the cell, which in turn leads to the translocation of glucose transporters from inside cell to the surface of cell. So these glucose transporters are responsible for the transport of glucose from blood to inside the cell. So cortisol decreases the translocation of these glucose transporters from inside the cell or to the cell surface, so that glucose will not transport at rapid rate inside the cell. Glucocorticoids may also depress the expression and phosphorylation of other signaling cascade, which are responsible for the metabolism of glucose. This influences the glucose utilization directly or indirectly by affecting the protein and lipid metabolism. Again, glucocorticoids reduce the expression of insulin receptor substrate 1 and phosphatidylinositol 3 kinase, both of which involve in the mediating the action of insulin as well as oxidation of NADH and to NAD. So glucocorticoids reduce the expression of insulin receptor substrate 1 and phosphatidylinositol 3 kinase. This is the cascade which is activated by insulin once it binds to the insulin receptor. So if there is no cascade of reaction takes place, no glucose transporters will become onto the surface of cell, as well as it will inhibit the oxidation of NADH to NAD. If there is no NAD is available, no glycolysis will take place. We know in that in glycolysis NAD is required for the glycolysis. So that ultimately if NAD is not available, so glycolysis will stop. If glycolysis will stop, glucose utilization of cell is also stop.